Water sample collection mistakes, part 3. Not removing the aerator from your faucet.
Many faucets have a little piece of metal at the tip called an aerator. Now, you can screw this on and off most of the time if it's there, and we almost always recommend screwing it off before collecting your sample. The reason is a little bit nuanced and complicated, but for many samples, the contents of the debris that are collected inside of that aerator, which usually has a little filter, can impact the water quality over time, and it's usually best to remove the impact of that aerator from your sample. So remove the aerator before you collect your sample. This is particularly important if you're concerned about coliform testing, because bacteria can live in that little filter of the aerator. Do you need to remove the aerator? Is it a huge impact to your sample? Probably not. But if you want to do the best practice, if you want to have the most representative sample of your drinking water quality over time, when you send it into the lab, I do recommend removing that aerator before collecting your sample. Again, if you fail to remove the aerator, or you forget, or you just don't want to, it might not mean anything at all. This is just about trying to reduce any possible ways in which the aerator might impact your water quality test results.
PFAS, cross-contamination.
PFAS testing is a big trend right now, and that's partly because PFAS have been found to be everywhere, from the blood of polar bears to the kitchen sink. When you're collecting a sample for testing for PFAS, it is very important to make sure there are not outside sources of contamination potentially contaminating your sample. What I mean is this: if you're looking for PFAS in your tap water sample and in only your tap water sample, you want to make sure that PFAS from your jacket or from some saran wrap or for some other object in the kitchen is not influencing the PFAS levels in the water that you're putting in the container to send into the laboratory. So if you're collecting a PFAS sample, if you want to really focus on the PFAS that is in your tap water, it is really important to have no other sources of potential PFAS contamination around. And this can be tricky because PFAS is kind of in everything, or at least it was, and it's getting a little bit better now. But I would still not trust really kind of any product that you would normally put on your skin, on your hair, any piece of clothing that is water resistant. I would get all of that out of the way of the kitchen tap when you're collecting your sample from the kitchen tap for PFAS, because you really don't want those things to influence the reading of the laboratory equipment when they analyze your water sample. And it's particularly important, by the way, for PFAS and more so than a lot of other water quality contaminants, because PFAS are tested for and detected at extremely low levels, like thousands of times lower levels than most other contaminants. That means that really small contributions of contamination can come from your Gore-Tex jacket or from some other device in the kitchen, or for some lotion that you have that has PFAS in it. Some very small amount can make a really big difference in your sample. So eliminate those sources of PFAS contamination so that the sample you're collecting from your tap is indeed a sample of your tap water and not a sample of your whole kitchen.
Not washing your hands prior to sampling.
I hope I'm not the first person to tell you this, but it is very important to wash your hands, and it is especially important to wash your hands and make sure they're clean before you're collecting a tap water sample. There is kind of heavy metals, and there are bacteria. There are all sorts of things that can be on your fingers and under your fingernails. It's kind of gross. I'm not going to go into any details, but your hands are dirty. Don't touch your water sample with your dirty hands before sending it into the laboratory. Do your best to clean them first with soap thoroughly before collecting your sample. If there are latex gloves in your sampling kit because your testing requires that, then make sure you wash your hands before you put those latex gloves on. Latex gloves are not an excuse to use the dirtiest hands possible because you have gloves on. Always wash your hands thoroughly with soap before collecting your samples to make sure your sample is most representative of your actual water quality and not the dirt and gunk that's on your hands.
Bacteria cross-contamination.
A lot of water testing kits include testing for coliform bacteria and other microbiologicals. If you're testing for coliform bacteria, if you're testing for any microbiological contaminant. It is very important not only to use a sterile bottle, which will be provided in your kit, but to use a sterile environment. Do not touch the sample lid, the tip of the faucet with your hands, or with anything else that might cross-contaminate your sample before collecting that sample. If you have questions about the nuances of collecting a sample in a sterile way, definitely reach out to the team to ask those questions. You can also consult the instructions that are provided in your sampling kit. As a first order of business, as a rule of thumb, treat any kind of microbiological sample, coliform samples included, treat them as being as sterile as possible, which means keep your fingers off of things and try to make everything a clean and swift sampling experience so that nothing can cross-contaminate the water that you put into that sampling container before sending it to the lab.
Removing the preservatives from your sample kit.
Many sampling containers in water testing include preservatives. These preservatives are typically there to maintain the integrity of your sample while it's been collected and sent to the laboratory. You do not want to remove or touch or play with these preservatives at all. If there's a preservative in your bottle, it's there for a reason. Keep it in there, fill up your sample according to the instructions, and don't take it out. Certainly don't touch it or eat it. It is in there to make sure that your water quality sample arrives at the laboratory in a healthy and predictable way. Some of the most common uses for these preservatives are to dechlorinate a sample. It's also very common to control the pH of a sample or to perform some kind of a reaction that will limit your sample's ability to change while it's in transit. So if you have questions specifically about preservatives, definitely reach out. But the best rule of thumb is just don't touch the preservatives. Certainly don't eat the preservatives. Just fill up the bottles according to the instructions and let the preservatives work their magic as your sample makes its trip from your home or your workplace to the laboratory. So there you have it. Those are the most common mistakes people make when they're collecting a water quality sample. If you have any other questions at all, please leave them in the comments section below. We will be very happy to answer you quickly. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for more information about drinking water quality.